Hello, this is John Paul Lavoie with Teaching and Learning Technologies at Elon University, and today I am showing off a site that we have completed in SharePoint. Now, it's kind of nice. This site covers a couple points in SharePoint, or a couple things that you can do in SharePoint and do it really easily, such as small-scale database management. As you can see, this is our Writing Center website, so I want to give you an overview of what they kind of wanted, and then I'll show you how we fulfilled their needs. So the Writing Center has a number of tutors, and they tutor different students on campus. So what they wanted was to be able to gather information about each individual tutoring session. So they wanted their students that are working for them to fill out information after the session is finished. Then they wanted the professor of the student who came in to get an email saying that they have visited. And finally, they wanted to be able to look at all the results in pre-filtered manner to see a bunch of different statistics. I'll show you how we've completed each of those different tasks. First and foremost is the form, and you can see right here we have the form that they fill out. And I want to point out a couple different things. First, I started off and created this form in InfoPath. SharePoint and InfoPath integrate seamlessly, and it makes it really easy to make your forms look really nice. It also lets you do a lot of cool different things, such as we've hooked up the form to the Active Directory, so I can click and grab users from the Active Directory. I can also do date ranges, and one other thing that SharePoint allows you to do is pull drop-down list data from another list. So you can see right here I have a list of all the curriculum at Elon University, and as we know, curriculum changes quite often, so rather than me having to go in and update it, I am allowing the client to go into a list inside of SharePoint and update that very easily. That automatically populates the SharePoint form here. Makes it really, really easy. So I'll set all of this up in InfoPath. Now you can also see if as we saw over here, you recognize SharePoint with its ribbon on the top, its sidebar on the left hand side. Well, you'll notice that our form here has none of that. It is in the Elon University look and feel, and the students themselves don't actually know they're in SharePoint, and that's by design. We were able to put the form in here using an iframe and just pulling straight from the SharePoint site. I was also able to use a content web part to add CSS to hide that top ribbon and that left-hand bar in the form itself. That way the students themselves don't have to worry about the sidebars or navigating anywhere that they're not used to. All they have to do is log in, fill out the information, and hit submit. So that takes me to the next part of it. Once the information is submitted, they wanted the professor to get an email. Now that was set up with a simple workflow through SharePoint. I worked in SharePoint Designer, and you can kind of see here the email that is generated by the workflow. And you can see the writer's name, date, year, the professor. All of this information is put in here, and it's emailed directly to the professor. And you can see up here that this is where it's pulling that professor name from. So that shows you the professor part of it. So, and I'll move on now to what the administrator sees. So, we've got the students who have the form. They go through, they submit the form. The professors get their email, and then it comes down to the administrator so they can see their data. And so I'm going to pull over to SharePoint right here, and you'll see this is the first thing that the administrators see. What we've done here for them is set up the site with a lot of pre-filtered results. Now all these pre-filtered results are our views. There are a bunch of different views that we've set up for them. You can also see that we've set it up over here on the very front page, a very easy to get to area. So they gave us a list of requirements of how they wanted to see it, such as they wanted to see the number of people who have come via department, And you can see here this breaks it down. SharePoint via filters and sorting allows you to break it down into really nice, easy to use and easy to see chunks. We've got a lot of information. They can look at clients, consultants, their services, the student year, and show how many first-year students, graduate students, juniors, seniors, sophomores all have visited the Writing Center, as well as by class level. So they can see 132 have visited about 100 level classes, and here are the classes that they have visited about. Now, another interesting thing that we've set up here, and you've seen this on most of the pages, are a start date and end date. So we've actually set up a date range for them using date filters, and as well as using some tweaking through SharePoint Designer. Each of these filters allows you to pick the date range that you want and is automatically set up for a 30-day range from your date today. Or if you want to see more, you want to see a year, it's easy enough to click whatever date you want, get that date, and see just the filter results for that date range. So that's the long and short of it. All the pre-filter results are here. They're easy to get to, and one of my goals in this whole thing was to make the site as easy to deal with as possible, so that they didn't have to do a lot of clicking or didn't have to know how to use ribbons or anything like that. The clients can just go through, click on this stuff that they want, and get to the information that they want very easily. And I think overall SharePoint has made it really easy to do something that we would have needed a web programmer to do in the long run. That's about it. I hope you enjoyed it.